What happens when a beloved comedian known for her Southern charm and wholesome humor sits down for what should be a light-hearted morning chat only to find herself defending her entire career against unexpected criticism? Today, we're diving into the shocking moment that left studio audiences gasping and social media erupting. Leanne Morgan, the woman who built her comedy empire on stories about motherhood, marriage, and middle age, found herself in the hot seat when a casual conversation took a sudden turn into uncomfortable territory. If you want to see how a simple question about her comedy style turned into a full-blown confrontation that ended with one of the most talked-about walk-offs in morning television history, you'll want to stay for this entire story. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us what you think about what went down, because this one is intense. The morning began like any other at Studio 1A in Rockefeller Center. Leanne Morgan walked onto the set of Today with Jenna and Friends wearing her usual warm smile and a bright floral blazer that radiated Southern hospitality. The audience cheered and gave her a standing ovation before she even reached the couch. Jenna Bush-Hager stood to greet her with open arms, and the two women hugged like old friends, even though this was actually their first time meeting in person. Sitting next to Jenna was the guest co-host for the day, a popular lifestyle influencer and podcast host named Vanessa Hartley. Vanessa had built her brand on what she called radical honesty and unfiltered discussions. She had been stirring up attention recently with her bold takes on parenting, pop culture, and what she saw as outdated entertainment standards. Her appearance on the show was part of the network's effort to bring in new voices and connect with younger audiences. The three women settled into the plush chairs, coffee mugs in hand with the iconic New York City skyline glimmering through the windows behind them. The mood in the studio was upbeat, the kind of energy that promises a fun and easy segment. Leanne had been on a press tour promoting her latest Netflix special, and every interview so far had been filled with laughter and heartwarming moments about her journey from being a stay-at-home mom in Tennessee to selling out theaters all across the country. Jenna kicked off the interview with her usual enthusiasm. Leanne, oh my gosh, I have to tell you. My mom and I watched your special together last weekend, and we were crying, laughing. That story about your mammogram. How do you find humor in those moments most of us would rather forget? Leanne's face brightened, her Southern accent comforting and familiar. Well, honey, I think that's the thing, isn't it? We all go through awkward, uncomfortable stuff, but nobody wants to talk about it at the dinner table. So I figure, why not talk about it on stage, where at least we can all laugh together? If we can't laugh about our bodies falling apart after 50, what can we laugh about? The audience chuckled warmly. Jenna nodded with a big smile. That's what I love about your comedy. It feels like sitting on a porch with your best friend, just chatting about life. There's nothing mean-spirited about it, nothing that punches down. It's just real. Leanne smiled appreciatively and took a sip of coffee. Thank you, sweetheart. That means the world to me. I came up doing comedy in small-town churches and community centers where your mama and grandma might both be sitting in the front row. I always wanted to keep it clean, keep it kind. There's enough ugly in the world without me adding more. That's when Vanessa, who had been quiet so far, leaned forward slightly. Her expression was thoughtful, but her tone had an edge to it that wasn't quite friendly. See? I want to push back on that a bit, if that's okay. Leanne turned toward her, still smiling, though there was a hint of confusion in her eyes. Of course, honey. Go ahead. Vanessa set her mug down carefully. I think what you do is lovely. Really, I do. But I guess my question is, does playing it safe actually help your audience? You talk about marriage and kids and getting older, but you do it in such a sanitized way that doesn't really challenge anyone or make them uncomfortable. And I wonder if comedy that never pushes boundaries is really doing what comedy is meant to do. The atmosphere in the studio shifted. Jenna's smile faltered slightly as she looked between them. The audience grew quiet. Leanne's pleasant smile remained, but it tightened just a bit. Well, she said slowly, I'm not sure I'd call talking about my body breaking down or my marriage of 30-plus years sanitized. I mean, I'd talk about some pretty real stuff. Vanessa nodded but didn't back down. Right, but you talk about it in a way that's comfortable. You never really dig into the messy parts. Like, you joke about your husband leaving socks on the floor, but you don't talk about the moments where marriage actually hurts. The fights, the loneliness, the resentment. It feels very surface level. Leanne straightened up, her posture firm but controlled. Her southern sweetness now masked a sharper edge. I actually think I do talk about the real parts, sweetheart. Just because I don't curse or drag every secret into the open doesn't mean I'm being shallow. I talk about postpartum depression, about financial stress, about feeling invisible as you age. I just choose not to make it dark or depressing. People come to my shows to feel better, not worse. But doesn't that feed into this whole toxic positivity culture? Vanessa pressed. You know, the idea that women always have to smile through the pain, always find a silver lining, always make everyone else comfortable? Maybe what we need are fewer women trying to make people feel good and more women willing to make people uncomfortable with the truth. Jenna quickly jumped in, her voice a little too bright. I think there's room for all kinds of comedy, right? We need people like Leanne who find light in dark places, and we also need comics who push the envelope. Different strokes for different folks. Leanne nodded at Jenna gratefully, but kept her gaze on Vanessa. I appreciate what you're saying, truly. But let me be clear, my comedy isn't about toxic positivity. It's about survival. It's about finding a way to keep going when life gets hard. For a lot of women, especially women my age, learning to laugh at our own stories is actually revolutionary. It's power. Is it, though? Vanessa asked calmly but pointedly. Or is it just another way of keeping women in their place? Laugh about your problems instead of demanding better. Make your pain funny so everyone stays comfortable. Stay likable. Stay safe. The studio was dead silent now. Jenna's eyes darted nervously toward the crew. Leanne's smile disappeared completely. You don't know anything about me, she said quietly. And it's insulting that you'd sit here and suggest that because I choose kindness, I'm setting women back. I'm not saying that, Vanessa said quickly. I'm saying maybe we should question why women comedians feel they have to be so nice to succeed. Male comedians can be raw and messy, but women always have to be sweet. They have to make sure nobody's uncomfortable. Leanne's jaw tightened. Honey, I'm 56 years old. I've been doing this for more than 20 years. I built my career exactly the way I wanted, on my terms, telling my stories. The fact that you think that's because I'm afraid says more about you than me. Vanessa didn't flinch. She leaned back, crossing her legs. I'm not questioning your success, Leanne. I'm questioning the system that rewards certain types of women's voices and sidelines others. And I think it's worth asking why the women who make it big tend to be the ones who don't threaten the norm. Leanne let out a humorless laugh. The norm? Honey, when I started, I was a 40-year-old mother of 3 from rural Tennessee with no agent, no connections, no business being on a stage. The norm didn't want me anywhere near it. I fought for every inch of ground I have. Jenna tried again, her voice shaky but cheerful. Ladies, maybe let's talk about something lighter. Leanne, I heard there was a funny moment during the taping of your special. But Leanne wasn't finished. She kept her focus on Vanessa. You know what's interesting? Young women like you seem to think the only way to be real is to be harsh. You've confused bitterness with depth. Kindness doesn't mean weakness. Finding joy doesn't make you shallow. Vanessa stayed calm, which seemed to frustrate Leanne even more. I hear you, Vanessa said. I just think we can acknowledge that certain kinds of comedy get praised while others get dismissed. And the ones that get celebrated are the ones that make people feel safe. What power structures are you talking about? Leanne asked, her voice rising slightly. I talk about the healthcare system, the beauty industry, how women become invisible as they age. Just because I'm not yelling doesn't mean I'm not speaking the truth. But you're saying it in a way that lets the audience off the hook, Vanessa countered. They laugh, feel good, and go home without having to think too hard about their own role in these systems. That's what I mean by comfortable. The crew exchanged nervous looks. A producer signaled for Jenna to wrap it up, but she looked frozen. Leanne's grip on her chair tightened. So your version of good comedy is the kind that makes people feel bad about themselves? That doesn't sound like comedy to me. That sounds like a lecture with punchlines. That's reductive, Vanessa said, keeping her tone steady. I'm talking about comedy that challenges assumptions and pushes culture forward. And not selling out. That's compassion. But